salvation by Yolanda Felder Ministries. For this time in this season, you should find comfort in knowing that the Lord has spoken a word over your life, and it is going out to perform what it was set out to do, and it's not delayed. Hello, and welcome to the Yolanda Felder Show. I am so grateful and honored that you decided to join me again today. And as usual, you will not be disappointed. Now, it's going to be a little different today because I want to talk about education. I mean, really, let's discuss education. And who better to discuss education than our own Dr. Steve Perry and the principal of Capital Prep, Miss DAMITA Jones. Capital Prep, as you all know, is located in Harlem, and it's associated with Puffy Comb. So, of course, for the younger ones, you know who that is. So I want you to help me welcome Dr. Steve Perry and Miss DAMITA Jones.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Yes, welcome. So, today's show is special to me because I'm in education, you guys are in education, and we all know the importance of education, and especially to our children. Not just our children, the city, but children of color.
No doubt.
And how important it is that they are educated. You know, as we were discussing earlier, the challenges that they face outside of home, sometimes in the house, where the love and the joy and the protection and the nurturing should start, sometimes that doesn't happen. So the burden is left on the schools.
Well, it's hard to love somebody when you don't love yourself.
Right.
And there are lots of people in our community and others, but we're talking about our community, who don't love themselves.
Right.
And their parents, and that doesn't mean that some sort of wand was hit, they were hit with some sort of wand, and now they all of a sudden are better people and in better position to take care of themselves and therefore take care of their children. So we are put in a position where we have the responsibility to show children how to love themselves. The challenge, though, is we have to have people who love themselves and love our children educating them. It's all too easy to get caught up in this very binary conversation where it's all good or it's all bad, it's all the parents or it's all the children or it's all the school. It isn't that. It meanders between the parties, and then you could meander way out to the politicians and come back into certain circumstances that are none of the above. What we, those of us who are educators, are expected to do is what some people consider impossible. Take a child who doesn't know how to read, write, compute, or do science, and teach him or her how to do that. Despite the fact that we're not going to get to change their living circumstances, we're not going to get to change the circumstances that exist around them, and in some cases with people who, quite frankly, should not be in the classroom, in the school.
Right.
So when we talk about education, we're not just talking about this esoteric, ethereal notion. We're talking about the practical challenges of taking information from some people's heads and putting it into the heads and hearts of children.
Yes. You know, now we're faced not only with the home environment, but now legislation. We have a new administrators, right? And of course, a new
DeVos, Secretary of Education.
Yes. She's the one passing down new rules and regulations, how she views education. And to me, that's disturbing. I'm sure it will be disturbing to you as well.
Not disturbing to me, actually.
No? You think she's coming with something new and fresh, or?
I think that we have tried it the other way for about 382 years.
Okay.
And literally, the first public school in America was opened in 1635. We've been doing it that way since that time. And what Ms. DeVos is saying is that she wants you as a parent, me as a parent, and Ms. Jones as a parent to be the decider on what type of school is best for our kids.
Right.
Not where you live, not how much money you have, but where you can get into school.
Okay, but How about the parent who, everybody doesn't understand education?
So, you know, that's a good question. But here are the facts. The facts are that the children who are on the waiting lists to get out of failed schools are those exact same parents' kids. So somehow the community communicates extremely well when it comes to what works and what doesn't. They're not looking at Regents exams. They're not looking at some other assessment tool. They're looking at how the streets are talking.
Okay.
And you will see that the highest performing schools in the city of New York have the longest waiting lists.
Right.
And
But those parents are involved.
They're no more, but that's the point. They are just being parents. And what our concern has always been, or at least our stated concern was, what if parents don't know? And I'm saying parents do know.
What they want for their child's education?
They know at least what they don't want.
Okay.
And
That's
they
right.
know what schools they don't want to send their children to.
Right.
So that while they may not know the nuances of vocational technical education versus a charter education versus among the charters, which type of charter works best, or if they want a voucher program or if they want an educational safety, they may not know all that.
Right.
But they know that this school right here has not educated people in our community for a generation or two.
Right.
And just because I live here, because I cannot afford to live somewhere else, doesn't mean I want to send my child to that school. So the challenge that Betsy DeVos is saddled with is she's got a president who has lost his mind. And he says and does really ridiculous things. And so everyone affiliated with him, or any policy that's affiliated with him, is called into question that it too may be ridiculous. But what Betsy DeVos has fought for, and I don't know this woman, but I have, in fact, done some research on her record.
Right.
What she has fought for is to make it possible for people like us, to African Americans, to open a school in the African American community to serve the African American community. Similarly, if DeVos, in some of what she pushes for in, let's say, vouchers, were to become law of the land, then you, as somebody who operated an independent and private pre-K to, you said, 9-year-old program, that you would be able to receive money in tuition dollars for you to be able to run that school. So all she's saying is that we three black people can open schools in our community, and our community can choose our schools, and when they choose our schools, they don't have to choose the school that they were in. So the parents who had to put together their dollars to make it possible for them to go to a fine school like you opened won't have to do that anymore. What we have to keep in mind is that the teachers union in particular needs us to believe, they need us to believe that this failed system, one that has yet to educate African Americans fairly. I mean, and we know this. I mean, the Supreme Court keeps saying it, data keeps saying it, parents who keep voting with their feet keep saying it. The 75,000 families who are on waiting lists in New York, they keep saying it. They don't want this anymore. They want something different. And so here is a person who's saying, you should not be limited by your income.
Right.
You should not be limited by your zip code.
Right.
You want to go to her private daycare? Go. You want to go to our public charter school? Go. You want to go to a magnet school? Go. You want to go to a vocational technical school? Go. You want to go to a private school? Go. You want to go to whatever works for you.
Right.
That's what she's saying.
Okay.
And that's what black folks have been saying we want all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the teachers union needs us to think, no, you need to keep this school that nobody wants. So that we can keep people employed there, so we can keep drawing down on their salary, so that we can keep these dues coming in, so that we can keep power.
Right.
Which is killing us.
Yeah, yeah. It's killing them too.
It's killing them. You right?
It is. It's killing them because if it hurts one child, it hurts all children. That's
Right.
what people don't realize.
Well, they don't understand.
You know?
But the point is this. Because Donald Trump is the president who's put her forward, and because she didn't do a good job in her hearing, what we've done is we've somehow said that the policies that she's putting forward are policies that we don't agree with. Well, you want to know what? Arnie Duncan and Mr. King, both of whom were ed secretaries under President Obama, support the same thing she supports.
Okay.
They literally did. Arnie Duncan just put out an article in The Atlantic this month.
Okay.
Talking about his support of charter schools.
Yeah, I believe in them too.
So again, Betsy DeVos has her own issues. She did not do a good job in her presentation of her information, and the senators were gunning for her because her boss has been acting like a jerk.
Yeah.
But when you peel back what she's saying you as a mother should be able to decide where you send your child to school.
Absolutely.
And nobody else.
Absolutely.
Nobody else.
Absolutely.
And the school that your child no longer goes to should not keep the money.
Right. That's right.
So I'll give you a quick for instance. So we have schools here. We have Capital Prep in Harlem. We have also a Capital Prep in Hartford and one also in Bridgeport. When a child comes to Capital Prep, the money does not follow that child. So some money stays at the school that they no longer attend.
Right.
So the state ends up paying twice for that child.
Right.
As opposed to, let's say it's $15,000. At $15,000, if the seat is empty, why are we paying for it?
Right.
So let's say your daughter decides to go to school at a different school than her neighborhood school in Long Island. Why would that school that she's never going to set foot in keep her tuition?
Right.
It should go to the school that's paying, that's educating her, that's paying the teachers, that's paying the dance instructors, that's paying the coaches after school, that's paying the learning support, that's paying the principal. That's the one who should have the money.
Right.
That's what DeVos is saying.
Okay.
Not so artfully, but that's what she's saying.
And that's great, because I think that wherever the child is, the money should go, because the child has needs. And their needs can't be met if all the money is not coming. I mean, let's face it, you need money to educate.
You know this because you run the school.
To live, yes.
You got to pay people.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I mean, you got to pay people.
And it's so crazy about education, because without education, you're nothing. But yet, that is the first place to have budget cuts. Isn't that funny? It's so funny how people who own daycares, who own charter schools, who own anything education, any institute or whatever, they are very savvy in gathering money and resources, but it should not be, because education is the foundation of keeping people from going to jail, from being homeless, from having pregnancy unwanted, at a young age without being able to take care of the children. I mean, drugs, all of these things that society has is because of education.
One of the things that Ms. Jones will be able to tell you about is, so let's say, for instance, we want to have a basketball team. We got to pay a coach.
Absolutely.
Got to buy uniforms.
Yes. Yes.
Got to rent gym time.
Yes. Yes.
Got to put kids on buses or transport them somehow.
Yes.
All that stuff.
Yes.
If that money is at the school that the kid doesn't attend, and we got to go out and try and find people to pay for something that the child already paid, the family already paid taxes.
Yeah.
They already paid for that.
Absolutely.
Or if the family says, there's a daycare in my neighborhood, but Miss Yolanda's got one that actually is better. So can I take my money that I paid to this city and send it to her? Well, the teachers union is saying, nah, she doesn't have union people working there. You can't send that money. That's our money.
Yeah.
I said, your money. I paid it.
Yeah.
I'm a parent. Shouldn't it go where my child goes, not where you? If you want this money, you better go with Miss Yolanda.
And it's funny that you say that, because the teachers union, that's another reason why I left daycare, because the teachers union is now in daycare. And I
ain't doing nothing good for it.
Let me tell you, I was one of the founding members of the UFT child care providers. And after 2 years, I saw where I'm an entrepreneur. And I saw where I believe they're leading the providers towards state employment. And to me, that's taken away their freedom. These women are business owners, and it's stifling under them. They're like spoon feeding them and not really fighting for the necessary things that they need to assist these children. I mean, the foundation is early childhood. And then to demand that they have, one time we were fighting about, the teachers union was saying that, the child care providers, they need to have their bachelor's. Okay, you mean to tell me that we have a young lady here who's 60 years old, 60, 70 years old, who's been watching children in the community for 25 years. You want me to tell her to go back to school and get her degree? You have training. We're not saying not to train her.
But then take it one step further. If the kid's mother's not complaining.
Thank you. I said 25 years. So she has a 25-year-old out there that she raised. So why are you now harassing her to go back to school? And let's face it, education changes often.
Because they get that check on the other side.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. The children are.
But people don't tell your story though.
No.
Because they think what they try to do is they try to present private schools as this corporation. Are you a corporation? Right? They try to present us as charter schools as if we're some sort of corporation that we're stealing. So we ain't nobody stealing nothing. They came to us because y'all weren't doing your business.
Right. That's right.
It's the reason why in our first year, this is our first year of having grades 6 and 7, we had 1,024 applications for 160 seats.
Ooh. Wow. Ms. Jones, how was that to you? I mean, you saw there was a need, but then...
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And understanding that our children are coming from, as I mentioned, the last stop in the Bronx to come to Manhattan on a daily basis, leaving sometimes at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning just to get to an education. What year is this? Why are we here?
Wow.
Why can't they find quality education in their neighborhood?
In their neighborhood.
But the fact that they're making the commute says something.
Yes.
Parents are speaking. And so
Yes.
where you may think they're not educated to make that decision, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
And they come and they find it because they want their child's life to be better than theirs.
And then this is middle school.
Yeah.
Middle school is
Currently.
very challenging.
It is.
So you have children that come early start. What time does your school start?
Children come in for breakfast at 6:30 and classes start at 7 a.m.
Wow, that's good though. I mean, to me, that's great because, you know, you have parents that they have to get off to work and they want to make sure that their child got on a bus or train and got to school safely and, you know, trying to make sure that they had something to eat. So you opening early like that is really good because the parents that have to go to work, they can ride the train with their child. You
And
know,
it's also it's a family sacrifice. There's a huge sacrifice that takes place for many of our families in order to make it to Harlem on a daily basis, and we acknowledge that,
Yeah.
and we appreciate that support, and we deliver a world-class education on a daily basis.
And what time does the school end?
School day is over at 3 p.m.
Oh, okay.
But there's an extended program.
Yes. So beyond that, we have tutoring and other services that allow to teach the whole child. It's not just the academic side. We also look to the affective in order to give them more than just the reading, writing, math, but also, most importantly, the love and support that they need.
Great. So basically your school meets the whole child
Yes.
from academics and also their social needs as well as nutrition.
Absolutely. And one of the really unique things that Capital Prep offers is what we call advisory. So in the middle of the day, every child has almost like an on-campus parent, right? It's a touch point for them on a daily basis. This illuminator actually calls home, connects with the family, and on a daily basis, there's an 80-minute block of time that they spend together in this small grouping of about 12 to 15 children with one illuminator, just working on the soft skills that public schools often forget about, right? Teaching them what it is to be an effective communicator, what it is to be respectful of one another, what it is to build a network, what it is to really enjoy life, set goals, and achieve them. And so we look to be able to build that skill set in addition to all of the academic skills.
Wow. So I saw that illuminator. That's like a coach. I like that term.
Illuminator is what we refer to as a teacher.
I like that. Oh, okay.
So Ms. Jones can talk to you more about what that means, but we didn't think that the term teacher was accurate and robust enough to describe what it is that we require our colleagues to do. So she can explain what an illuminator is.
And the level of commitment is such that you have to pick a different term for it. If you're not just coming in to deliver instruction for a 45-minute block, check the box and move children on to the next. It's really important that our illuminators understand and recognize the importance of creating family, not just between the children, but with the families that have come to us and sought this service, because education is a service, right?
Yeah.
It's a customer service-based business.
Yes.
And it's important that we build the rapport, we create the relationships that hopefully are not just 1 year to the next, but clearly up through 12th grade so that we can see them to and through college.
Right. Oh, okay. And the parents, are they involved? Like, do you have parent meetings or, you know?
We do, to varying degrees.
Okay.
And that is what it is. Oftentimes people think the success of certain schools is because we somehow have access to a certain group of parents who always come when you call, who are always at the ready, who are always doing the homework. That's just not true.
Right.
We don't know why, but the fact is that our responsibility is to educate the child. If the parents come along, awesome, let's go, let's get it. If they don't, Okay, awesome too. We still have to educate this child.
And that's the passion. That's the passion that you have, because you understand that, yeah, there will be some parents that can't be involved, but that's okay, because it takes a village.
That's where we step in.
Yeah,
right?
and
we're
that's
that support system for that child who has maybe a lifestyle at home that requires them to not be a child. They have to have adult responsibilities. And so that's where the illuminators step in that advisory role and offer the support that that child needs. And so it's really a privilege to be able to be in that space and not just assume the role of just teaching and instruction.
Yeah. And are the children open? Like, you know, are they
Sometimes.
very...
But generally speaking, I think that they want it. I think generally speaking, they want it. Some, you know, I'd say that the lion's share of them want it. You know, 90-something% want it. And they're actually, I think 100% want it. 100% want
absolutely.
it. But what I was trying to parse was 100% want it, but maybe all of them are not ready right now.
Right.
And so they may be. And our objective is to get them ready. So they have to both want it and be ready to get it. So a child could want to be in a leadership position in the classroom, but he acts like a fool. And so when he does that, we have to correct that. And he doesn't respond well to the correction, so he may still want it, but he's not ready for it.
Right.
Similarly, we often find, we call them illuminators, but teachers, a teacher who says these kids won't. Well, the kids are fine. They're not broken. You should probably look at yourself.
Right. Right. Yes.
And we do this. So there are times when we're in the class, because it's important that when we have this conversation about education to be more broad.
Right.
That we're not just looking at the parent not doing or doing her or his or their job. The child not responding to his or her expectations. But there are people who we employ.
Right. Oof.
Right. Who have to come in called. And they have to make a commitment to be amazing. Every day, all day. And anybody who complains about that should not go back to teaching. They should stop today.
Oh, yes.
Today should be your last day. If you complain about the responsibility or the obligation or expectation that you be astounding, if that's too much for you, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's just too much.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a calling, a passion. You have to love.
Literally love.
Love them.
And every second counts.
Yes.
Every second counts. Many of our children come to us 2, 3, 4, in some cases 5 grade levels behind, retained 2, 3, 4 times. And it's essential that you recognize as an illuminator every second matters, because in previous years, every second didn't matter, and they weren't taught, and they didn't learn. And now they're in a space where they're being exposed to rigorous education, and we have to get them caught up. We're a college preparatory school with the end goal of getting every child accepted to a 4-year college or university. And that requires work from everybody.
So you take that one step further. So yesterday it was 3 little girls, middle schoolers, because that's, you know, they're a wild group.
Yeah.
So we
that's
had
the age.
3 middle schoolers in my office in our school in Bridgeport. And I said to them, you know what, maybe this ain't the right school for you. Maybe you should go back to the other school, because sitting still, raising your hand, being kind to somebody, that's just too much for you. Little girl starts crying, please don't send me back to that school. Please don't send me back to that school. They're not teaching me. They don't treat us right. These are the children saying this. These are the children who want out. So when you ask, do they want it? They want it. We just have to be better at our job. And when we're better at our job, they're better at their job. I was co-teaching with one of our colleagues today. And at the end of the class, I said, what did you see? She said, they did that, but they did it because you were here. Okay, so that's a problem. I can't have you say that.
Right.
Because they did it because we did it the right way.
Right.
So if you're saying that you're not committed to doing it the right way, then let's sit down, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's maybe do something different than what we're doing. Maybe there's something else that you should do with your life. Because this, all we did was do it the way it was supposed to be done.
Right.
I don't have any capacity to do anything to this child that you don't.
Right.
I mean, it's not like because of my position I could do something that you cannot. If you don't want him in your class, just like I don't want him here, I got to do the same thing you have to do. We have to expect more of every single part of the academic experience.
Right.
Every single one of us has to do better.
Yes,
People who run
absolutely.
schools like me
Yes.
got to have greater introspection and see what it is that we do. Our principals have to have a better understanding that, you know what, I can't just be in my office. I'm not going to work 9 to 5.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
I'm
Right.
going to have to get there
Sorry.
at some ungodly hour. I'm not going to work 5 days a week.
Right.
But when you get there, you have to want to do that.
Yes.
So when he says it, if that sounds like torture, this is not the occupation for you.
Yeah.
Because again, back to the original point, every moment counts. And you have to really be responsible for the impact you have on the quality of life
Yes.
and living of an individual.
Absolutely.
You really have to be responsible for
And
that.
education is not instant gratification.
Absolutely not.
You know, it's not you press a
seed.
button and you see it. You don't see the seeds that you planted until they graduate, probably college.
It's a very
And then you're
uncomfortable
like,
process,
oh,
actually.
wow.
For our
You
children in
know?
particular, it's a very uncomfortable process, and it's much like literally packing a seed in dirt, especially when you put them in a capital prep tie and a capital prep sweater, capital prep khaki pants, and dress shoes, and say you have to come in full uniform every day.
Into the building.
Just shifting that mindset literally is a ginormous shift for our kids' lives.
Really?
Yes.
I love that. I really do. When I had my daycare, they wore uniforms.
Yep.
You know, I like people that dress nice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just do.
Nothing wrong with that.
Why do you want to just throw on something and just we only see your outside. We don't know what's going on the inside. So if you look a certain way, not to say that you don't, you know, everybody's not suit and tie, okay, but at least be clean and presentable and care.
Well,
because that's
appearance
all
matters.
Yes,
It
that's
does.
all we know until you open your mouth. You know?
Well, you know, you had mentioned a moment ago about the payoff. Yesterday, I had this really cool experience. I was in my office, and both of my sons attend our school, and Miss Jones's daughter attends our school in Harlem. And it was around 5 o'clock, and I'm like, what the heck? And we, like, let's go. Like, we're sitting here like, where are my sons? They're in one of our illuminators' rooms, their teacher, because he is the most rigorous teacher that they have, who is also one of our alums. So
Nice.
Mr. Green is Jordan Green, who we got in the 6th grade. He went off to college, graduated, came back. Now he's working with us as a teacher, as an illuminator. And he's one of my son's teachers. And because of that, I am sitting there waiting for my son because one of my colleagues, who was one of my students, is grilling him. And he's actually in there retaking a test that he didn't do that well on. And they're there at 5 p.m. So I just got to sit back, both be aggravated that I'm still at work, and be pleased that
Yes.
the work that we put into this young man, who will tell you, didn't meet his father until he was in college.
Wow.
So the work that we put into this young man, and then I talked to him afterwards as a colleague, and he says to me, this is hard, you know. I said, really, you think? And so he says, I want to have the impact on these kids that Mr. Fulton, one of our colleagues, had on me. He says, I want to do that. So can I really complain about the fact that when I finally get to my car, it's 7 o'clock?
No.
Can't.
Absolutely not.
That's the payoff.
Yes.
The payoff is really simply this. When we educate our students, they will educate our kids
Absolutely.
on one level or another.
Yes, absolutely.
When we provide for our students, they will provide for our children
Yes, absolutely.
on one level or another. So it will pay off.
Oh, it does. It does.
Big.
And I like the fact that you said that you have a child that you once educated is now there being an illuminator.
Yep.
That speaks volumes. You know that? It really does. I look at that when my daughter goes to a private school, a Christian school, and most of her teachers went off to college and came back, and now they're working there. And I like that because they know.
It's what
And
it's
they're
what
bringing
you value.
fresh perspective too.
But and I bet you, watch this. And I bet you at your daughter's school there are staff whose kids go to school there.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So let's stay there for a second. This is how we know the other schools are schools that nobody wants any part of. Because you go into those other schools and you say, okay, how many of you people who work here send your kids to school here? and then you push we don't live around here. They still sell properties around here. Like, you could get in. You don't
Absolutely.
have to. And I bet you your principal will allow you to bring your child. They'll give you a waiver. No, I'm good. So you take this check from this school, but you won't send your child to the school. Meanwhile, we send our kids to our school. I'm confident your child went to your daycare, and I'm confident that the people who you pay to educate your child send their children to the very same school, and even the people who work there went to the school. So if the people who work there went to school there, now send their children there, that's saying something about that school.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
On the same token, if the people who work there wouldn't dare send their own children there, that's also saying something about that school.
Right.
So we don't need data. We don't need to get caught up in this public-private conversation.
Right.
Let's just all people be grown people. Where you sending your child to school?
Right.
Right here? Okay, that means it's valuable.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that you want to have this other school open, this traditional school, this neighborhood school that you would never send your child to. And if you had to, you'd lie about your address and send them somewhere else.
Right.
You put all your pennies together to send them somewhere else.
Right.
You'd have them go live with somebody. How horrible is that?
Yeah, that is.
How horrible is that when you say to your child, you know what, I love you, but I love you. And so you're going to go live with your aunt.
Yeah.
I don't want to live with my aunt. I know. But I can't afford to move, and we didn't get in through any of the lotteries, and I can't afford to pay to send you to another school. There's too many buses and trains that I have to do to get you to another school. So at least 5 days a week from the time you are in kindergarten, you are going to live with someone else.
And what's wrong with new? You know, if someone is coming with a new perspective, has a game plan to change the dynamics, why not? Because what you're doing now is failing.
Well, there is a reason why not. That's not a rhetorical question, I know. The reason why is because there are lots of people who work in the traditional schools who've put their time in. This is the way they describe it. I put my time in. I'm about to retire in X amount of years. And who are you, black lady, to think that you're going to take your child out of this school that's supposed to be paying me, that I know allows me to live the suburban lifestyle, that I know allows me to send my child to whatever school I want to send my child to. That's your stupid fault. You shouldn't be poor. You shouldn't be living there. This is the system that we put in place in 1635, which, by the way, wasn't a good year to be black.
Clearly.
This system that was designed based upon racism and classism, this system that was designed based upon making sure that only some kids got access to an education, this same system, what we're going to do is we're going to say you have to keep your child there. So we've decided that we're going to offer up another alternative. Capital Prep Harlem is just that alternative. It says to you, I don't care where you come from in the city of New York. I don't care what your income is. I don't care what your color is. We're going to give you a world-class education. You're going to be able to outperform anybody of the same age. Now, we're going to take them, despite the fact that they're 4 or 5 grade levels behind, we're going to catch them up.
Right.
They're going to catch up.
Right.
Not only going to catch up, they're going to surpass.
Right. So what makes your school stand out?
Talent like this?
Commitment and believing that every child can. Right? There's not a child in our school that is not competent, that is not capable, that cannot live a good life and be educated. They all have the potential. And that's the belief gap, right? There are many places where you think a child can't. And in actuality, that's not a capital prep mind state. Every child can. It's how do we teach them? How do we meet the needs of the child in order to get them to where they can have academic success?
So one of the ways I notice is the coaching. Coaching is important. The Illuminator, you said,
Absolutely.
takes 15 children. That by itself speaks volumes, because regardless of the content, if you don't have the capacity to believe that you can achieve, all the information in front of you means nothing.
Well, there's
so
that.
that's
there's
why
that.
you have the Illuminator
There's
there.
that. And then we also have a year-round school. So our school
Oh, okay.
is 201 days versus 187 or 183,
Wow.
what you find. Our school day is longer than most school days. And quite frankly, our school week is longer than most school weeks. In fact, on Sunday, 30 boys were in what Ms. Jones referred to as Sunday, Sonday. So
I like that.
She brought together a number of our colleagues who were male and some volunteers from Greater Harlem who came in and spent the entire day. And so here's what's important to understand. Those 30 boys came in full uniform on Sunday.
They want it.
Wow.
They want it.
Beautiful.
Actively participating, engaged, just wanting someone to care about them, wanting to participate, wanting to be great. And so we were very fortunate to have a high level of participation, but the community also wants to help. And so we're fortunate to have volunteers who come in and want to support as well.
So the program is amazing. And so, but you only have 100 and something slots.
I'm going to dial you back just for 1 second.
Okay.
It's not a program, it's a lifestyle.
Oh,
it really
okay.
is. It's a lifestyle
like
for
that.
families.
No,
it's a lifestyle shift.
Okay.
And
Yes.
so when people call us a school, we're really more of a movement.
Okay.
To be very
Yes.
honest with you. This is a movement, and it requires us to take a very critical look at education and what it is that we're doing.
Okay.
And how we can shift the direction, change the trajectory of children's lives. This prison pipeline is real.
Yeah.
It's real. And so when we take a very honest look at how our children are being moved through the system and to the system, we can then go back and change the system, railroad the system, educate our children, and allow them to begin to run the system. Capital Prep is looking to create leaders, entrepreneurs like yourself, and that takes a level of commitment.
Awesome.
When
I love that.
When Sean Combs, when Diddy reached out to me, he said he wanted to open a school. My initial response was, well, good luck with that. And he said, no, for real, I think we can do it together. And I said, oh, well, I'm good doing what I'm doing, and I'm sure you're good doing what you're doing. So, let's just, no. He says, I want to open a school for leaders. I said, well, that's what we do. He said, I know. So, let's do that together. I sent him a video today of some of our kids in science class. And he sent me back something. He said, that's just so beautiful. And I said, this is what happens when dreams come true, when you wake up and make them happen. What's important to understand is that Capital Prep is a movement. It's a political statement. It's a declaration. It's putting a flag in the ground and saying, from this day forward, you will never be able to say Black, Latino, or poor kids can't learn. Stop saying that. And you will never be able to say Black people cannot open their own schools in our own communities to serve our children. You can't say that anymore because we got a crew of Black folks that came together. You will no longer be able to say entertainers and wealthy people and athletes. You'll never be able to say that they don't care because I can show you a gang of these dudes who come to us on a fairly regular basis on the humble, who none of you will ever know about. Puff and I worked on this for at least 4 years. People were giving him crap about a whole bunch of things along that very same time. I would call him and I'd say, bruh, you need me to let people know what this is about? I'll tell you a really quick story. So I wrote a book a couple years ago called Pushers Come to Shove, Getting Our Kids Education They Deserve, Even if it means picking a fight. So I had a book release party. And at the book release party was at Soledad O'Brien's house. Very, very small party. So it was at Soledad O'Brien's house. And Jeff Canada, who is, the man.
Yes.
All hail, whatever. He's everything to me.
Yes.
Remember the first time I met him, I was like, yes, Mr. Canada. He said, I don't even know how to act. I am a Jeff Canada groupie. So
I love it.
Jeff was there, and then shortly thereafter, Puff came. So Canada, as he is, he went in on him. He said, brother, you need to do more in the community. Now, at the time, Jeff didn't know that Puff and I were working on this school. And had been for 2 years at that point. And I said, Jeff, I hear you, but I can tell you he's doing it. No, he needs to get it. I said, brother, I promise you he's doing it. I promise you. And to Puff's credit, he just let him say what he had to say. He never corrected him. He just said, tell me what you need me to do. Tell me what you need me to do. So when we opened Capital Prep Harlem this summer, Jeff came to the opening. He said to Puff, I came to apologize to you as a man. He said, the way I came at you then, you did not deserve that. He said, I just believe in our community. He said, I did not know.
Wow.
I did not know that you were working on this. The point is that when we say Capital Prep is a movement, it's a declaration that we as a community can get there.
Right. We
can get there.
Right.
And that there are people who are working on our children's behalf who people would never know. Never know. But Puff wouldn't even probably like me to share that story because he has on so many occasions said, I don't want anybody to know that I'm doing this. Not to suggest he's keeping it a secret, but he's made it clear. When he hired Ms. Jones, he interviewed her. We went through all the candidates. He picked her. People don't know that. People don't know that was his interest. There are people who we have been contacted by, some of whom are famous, some of whom you never know, who say, hey, I want to be part of this movement. What can I do to help our community? I don't have a lot. I may not have a lot of money, or I may have a lot of money, but I have a lot of time. That's all right.
Right.
The fact is that Capital Prep stands as an example, not the only one, but an example among many at this point, started with Brother Jeff, that says that our community is stronger than people give us credit for. And we care more about education than anyone's ever known. And here we are, 3 black people, 3 black educational entrepreneurs saying, no, we got this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that we don't want white people to help us. That's ridiculous. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Right. No, yeah.
But we're all right, too.
Right. Absolutely.
And our product is as strong as anybody else's, and our ice is as cold as anybody's.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, it's funny that you said that no one can say. They can say, but the key thing is it's a lie.
Yeah.
And really, those people who are speaking really don't know. Your school is like Jeff Canada.
We hope to be like him one day. He's the boss.
He started it, really, and now you guys are coming in with another perspective. You know, this is his vision. You have your vision, same goals, to educate the children, create leaders, because every child can learn. Every child can learn, and they can be successful. We were all brought here with a gift. We were all born with a purpose.
Well, and the goal that we have in part is to create more opportunities, because every school is not for every child.
No.
And the objective, therefore, is to make sure that we open enough types of schools to meet the needs of all children.
Right, absolutely, because all children, they experience the same, depending on the economic background, they will experience the same things no matter what the color is, because your money will only spend a certain way depending on what your parents do for a living and what you will be exposed to. And if your parents, they could be middle class, but if they have a poor mentality, they won't be able to expose that child to much. And then you may have a child whose parents may not be very educated, but they know enough to culturally expose their children, you know? And you may get both of those type of children in your care. And it's up to you to have that focus, which it appears that you do, to have that focus of, you know what, neither one of you are different. You're both here. You're going to learn. I see lawyer, I see doctor, I see entrepreneur, I see educator. You know, you can look at them. And another thing is your middle school. Middle school is the absolute hardest to handle. I mean, Mike, those
They ain't nothing but hormones.
It is.
Like literally, it's just like
Hats off.
It's like for girls, it's almost like you know, like they talk about women being hormonal when they're pregnant, like more emotional than normal. Well, a lot of these little girls, everything is on 10.
Yeah.
Like they're not just upset; they're upset. They are.
I've had it.
You know, it's catastrophic. This is like, why are you crying? She said she doesn't like my hair.
That's where it's important to have the right people in place, right?
Yes,
To be able to model what good communication looks like, to be able to model how to responsibly handle your emotions. And that's where staffing and placement and being in your calling are key. And so, whereas one person might look at middle school and say, how can you do that? Somebody else looks and says, how can you not?
Yeah. And your daughter goes there?
She does. She's in 7th grade. She'll be in our first graduating class.
Wow. Wow. So how is that? I mean, she's in 7th grade, you know, the expectation. As an educator, do you find that your expectation level, I mean, even though you want all the children to learn, but when it comes to your child, it's a little less patient?
It's important to note that all the
opposed to
kids
somebody else's.
are my kids. All the kids are Dr. Perry's kids. All the kids belong to all of us. So
Right.
there is no mine, and they're very clear about that. Everyone is a son and everybody is a daughter. And so it's important to note that. And you want excellence for everyone.
Right.
And that has to be your mentality. There
Right.
is no us and them. It's all family. And so the expectation I have for my daughter is that she will be excellent. All of them.
And you have the patience. I know for me, when my daughter was at the daycare, it was like I said something once, and in my mind, I had to retrain myself. But in my mind, because you're my daughter, and I said it once, you should get it. Not, she's 2. And she's going to go through this. I have to repeat myself over and over again.
It's tough.
So that's what I was saying.
I think I think there's 2 questions. One, do we have greater expectations of our colleagues? No. I ran schools before my sons were in them, and I run schools now that they're in them. And my expectations are the same.
Okay.
So that part is true. I have to say that, I'm quick to say to my sons, are you really serious right now?
Exactly.
Like, you go to my school and you don't have, like, I designed this thing.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you can't tell me that you don't know how to use it.
Yes,
Like,
that-
you,
yeah.
all you do, we got illuminators who live behind us. All of my friends work with us. Like, are you serious?
We
Yes.
open the building, we close the building.
Right, like
Yes,
you're the
yes.
first ones there. You cleaning up the gym. Like, dude, are you serious that you don't know how to do? What is it that you? So yeah, they definitely. I mean, mine catch heat.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not patient with them.
That's
But
what
let
I'm
me-
saying. I thought
but
I
let
was
me also-
crazy, but I'm glad to know I'm
but
not.
let me.
Okay.
But let me also say this. But let me be really clear. That's the same conversation that I had with the young man today,
Okay.
who is not my biological son. When I saw him about to put his head down. I mean, I may not be able to jack him up like I can my own sons, but believe he got verbally jacked up
Right, absolutely.
with the same speed, with the same look. I don't have 2 different looks.
Right.
Like, I would give my son a look, and
Right.
it's the same exact piercing, like, are you serious right now?
Right, right.
You are not in a bedroom. You're not in your living room.
Right.
Get your behind up.
Yeah.
She is teaching science. You better get your mind right, boy.
That's right.
And
That's
this is
right.
having high expectations,
Yeah.
right? Believing that they can, knowing that they're capable, and really holding them to it. There's
Yeah.
no other option.
So
You will win.
what is a day at Capital Prep? Like, what are your, you know how they'll come into the office and go, oh, Miss Jones,
We try to keep them out of the office. We want to keep them in the classrooms. So we try to keep them out of the office and in the classrooms. And so one word came to mind, rigor. Right? You want an academically rigorous environment. And because the day is long, our children are building academic stamina. This is their first year in a Capital Prep school. They're coming from a wide variety of places. And it's important that they build this stamina, and that takes time. And so waking up and making it to school at 6:30 in the morning is difficult. So they're in chairs, 7 a.m., just after breakfast, and classes are rolling.
Yeah.
Teaching starts immediately. They go through 2 academic periods, and then they go into advisory. And again, another rigorous emotional block where you're uncovering and kind of untangling some of what goes on outside of school, trying to get to the root of why it's difficult to communicate, why you have trouble making friends. Literally taking that aspect of a child and helping them to learn how to interact with one another. Then it's back into classes again. And then it's off to tutoring. And so the day is very rigorous, and it requires them to be uncomfortable. And we like that because when you're uncomfortable, it means you're growing. And so in the end, we're looking to see some real fruits from our labor. And it's showing. It's definitely showing. And our kids want it, and they need it, and they're feeling successful now. That's the best part about it.
They do want it. All children want structure.
Yep, absolutely.
Even if they're out of the box and, running around and yelling back at you, and they want it. They want that. They just don't know how to fall in line because, it's middle school. I'm that person that says, middle school, oh my goodness, no. That's why I stopped watching children at 9 years old. Because once you start saying, no, Miss Yolanda, because of it, I'm like, okay, listen, go on. No, I like them like this. Get them early and pour into them. So you said leadership, that's one. Politics.
So if you were to look at our values, we have 5 learner expectations: collaborators, problem solvers, researchers, empathetic citizens, and pillars of knowledge. We're a social justice school. We have a social justice focus. That goes back to the movement of what it is that we're trying to do. And so we focus our curriculum around what it is to build CPREP, around getting children to do exactly what the alums have done in Bridgeport. Come back and serve. Don't just educate yourself and go off and live a good life. come back and feed the community that you grew up in. Come back and help. And so that's what our end goal is, to create the leaders and the entrepreneurs that can come back to make the jobs for the community so we can continue to grow.
But this is great because you know what? The people in the community will see, even though we learn from words, but we also have to have, in order for us to move out in a belief system, we have to have something, a vision, something tangible now to be able to say, oh, I can do that. So with your school being there and then the children coming back, you know, they take something from the school and they go back home, they're educating their parents. And then the friends around them, you know, even though they're coming in there and they're fighting with you, bringing all of their neighborhood with them, you're beating that off of them.
And the notion is that,
and showing the diamond that they are, that they came in as.
the notion is that when our burgundy and gold tie goes home, it goes to a floor in a building, right? And children will see that tie come and go, and it will see that child grow. The building will see it, the block will see it, the subway ride back and forth will see, and they'll see what's going to develop and who that child becomes. And so we're excited to see the progression. While we're new to New York, Dr. Perry has a long-standing success in Hartford, Connecticut, looking at 11 years now of sending graduates on to four-year colleges and universities.
Yeah.
And so we're very fortunate to have a model that's tried and true, that's looking to make a real impact in the lives of the families we serve.
Right. That's important. Oh, wow. I remember I had seen Dr. Perry years ago on a show with Soledad O'Brien.
CNN, yeah.
I sat there, I was like, wow, that's right. Oh my goodness, this man gets up so early in the morning and he stands there and he shakes every last child's hand. Oh my goodness, that is so amazing. That's what the boys need.
Now she does it.
See, that's amazing because it's personal to them. When you say their name, good morning, so-and-so, and hello, and how are you? They like that. They remember that.
They know that
and
you're looking for them.
Yes, because you know what? At the end of the day, they're still children. They've only been on this earth, what, 12 years? I'm on this earth a long time, and I'm still learning me and the world around me. So imagine them who have not been exposed to a lot, but their parents know enough to say, you know what? This is new. What harm could it be? You know what I'm saying?
Look,
what harm
they
could
know
it
what
be?
they had.
Yes, exactly. So let's try this. I mean, let's look at years ago, I mean, many years ago, early 1900s, when parents of who were in very poor southern states, they would pack their children because they were accepted to a school in Chicago. Say from Alabama, you would go to Detroit or Chicago. They would pack their child, put them on the bus. There was no cell phone beeper, nothing. So, and then, of course, how long did it take to get a letter? So they did it in hopes of something better.
They're doing it every day now.
New. So it's no different now. You're here, you're in the community. Listen, I trust you.
We have kids who have an
there.
80-minute commute one way.
Wow. That's a lot.
Every day. There ain't no easy way to cut 80 minutes when you have to be to school at 6:30.
Wow.
In some cases, as young as 11 years old.
Wow. That's a lot. But they want it.
They need it, and they deserve it. Moreover.
Yeah, they do.
They deserve
and that's
it.
the key thing, deserve it. So what's the goal, the outlook for your year? You're coming up August 28th? Will be a year, so.
We have a credo, and our students say a number of things, and one of them is that they came to change the world. And that's it. You know, they say they came together to change themselves and their community. They say that they strive